let's get started with our introduction to Spelling Shed then. Amanda?
Okay, so Spelling Shed is a spelling platform. It's designed by a team of teachers. It was built with students, teachers and parents in mind, and it aims to make spelling fun for students as well as simple for adults to manage. It was first launched in 2017 by our founders Rob Smith and Martin Saunders, but now well over 20 million children around the world have had access to Spelling Shed resources. We continuously research the best spelling principles and pedagogical practices, and this has been applied to all of the Spelling Shed scheme to make it effective to enhance the spelling ability of children. We have a proven approach to teaching spelling. The scheme is based on the most up-to-date, cutting-edge research, as I've just said. It's also the UK's #1 spelling app. It's used worldwide and is in currently 12,000 schools plus teachers and another 27,300 teachers in schools all over the world. So what is included in our Spelling Shed scheme? So it's a whole school scheme linked with the national curriculum, and incorporated into that you've got the full lesson plans, all the PowerPoints readily available for you, all resources and all worksheets. It gives you access to all of our Spelling Shed online games, which the children absolutely love. You've also got access to our brand new Grammar Arcade that launched yesterday. There's a teacher hub, which allows simple management of student records, for teachers and also the classes, any online tracking and data analysis. You can set and monitor online homework and assignments. You've also got the option of whole class Hive games, which we'll discuss a bit later, which can be a nice alternative to the spelling test. And we also got a new AI-driven mastery zone that, again, we'll look at a bit later. So if we look at the scheme as a whole, as I've said already, it's based on the most up-to-date research. It uses the proven approaches to teach spelling. It's based on phonics, morphology, etymology and orthography, which we're not going to go into too much detail on this webinar, but we do have access to previous webinars on the website should you wish to explore them further. It explores spelling patterns. It provides a consistent approach to teaching spelling across the whole school. And as I've said before, it is fully planned and resourced for you.
Okay, so just to give you a bit of a taste of where it's getting some of that spelling research into the lessons, here's an example of using the phonological knowledge to help support spelling with those phoneme maps on the words or sound buttons in both stage 1 and stage 2, but that does continue up into Key Stage 2 as well. We also have orthographic knowledge built in with a lot of work with syllables alongside the sounds. So we've got those different layers of the words. We include a lot of the etymological knowledge to help children build their understanding of where these words have come from and how that can help us understand both the meaning and the spelling of the words in more detail. And the final element is the morphological knowledge, working with all these little morphemes in the words and how to combine them to help us understand the meaning of the words and to help us with that spelling much more. So we've got our morphology matrix down there showing how we're combining prefixes and suffixes with the base word to make further words from it.
Okay, going with our Spelling Shed scheme, it is for years 1 to 6. We do have we list it as stages on the website, but it is equivalent to the years. For years 1 and 2, most phonics schemes will not cover all of the spelling objectives, so we do recommend teaching Spelling Shed alongside this in order for all of the spelling objectives to be covered. The timings are completely flexible with your school needs. The lessons are for year 1, 30 minutes a week, year 2 beginning with 45 minutes and then progressing on to 1 hour later in the year, and years 3 to 6 are 1 hour a week, but it is completely flexible. It doesn't have to be taught in one 1 hour block. We are aware the curriculum is busy, so it can be split up to work with your needs. To access the Spelling Shed scheme, once you've got login, you go via the EdShed website, and if you click on the Spelling Shed section, and then you can see along the top here you've got the Spelling Shed and Phonics Shed medium term plan, the Spelling Shed medium term plan, and also scheme guidance, which can again give you more detail with how to work the website and whatnot. So this is an example of our medium term plan for year 3. It's available again to download for all year groups. As we said, it's got the corresponding plans, PowerPoints and resources for each. You can see for each objective, it's got the words following that pattern that we do recommend. but you can alter these words if you do want to change them slightly, as long as they are still following the same pattern. So this is an example lesson. You can see it's from at the top here, stage 3. Again, the main objectives are all from the national curriculum for spelling. Each lesson has been designed so it can either be taught, as I've said, in one single whole hour lesson, or it can be delivered over the course of a week. So for example, you could do one 20-minute slot doing the revise and introduction lesson. You could then do the next 20-minute covering the main teaching input, and the final 20 minutes doing the independent and consolidation activities.
Okay, so included within that spelling shed lesson, you've got your objectives, like Amanda said, they're all from the National Curriculum 2014, and then you get a revision block as well. So each revision session lasts about 5 minutes, and children are revisiting sounds or spelling patterns from earlier weeks in the scheme, usually the previous week, but it also might draw on things that are linked to the spelling pattern you're about to do as well. Then moving on, you've got your introduction. This is where children are acquainted with the words for the week. There's an explanation of how the words are linked. You can spot the pattern of how they're connected as well. And you also talk about the meaning of them to make sure the children understand the meaning. And then it's onto your main teaching input, which has a variety of activities. It's meant to be about 20 minutes long, approximately. And here we're exploring the words of the week with the different layers, going through the phonics, the morphology, and the syllables to help that orthography as well. And that lesson sequence has already been done for you, so you don't have to worry about getting the lesson progression in there, because we've already done that with the medium-term plan. You're welcome to change it up if you want to, but we have already done that hard work if you want to avoid that bit. In stage 6, the first 10 lessons are based on challenge words. That's your statutory word lists. So they can be learned nice and early so that you can apply them to their writing for any writing assessments that you need to do for the end of the year. Now, the challenge weeks, they are generally made up of the statutory word list found in the national curriculum, the programme of study spelling appendix 2. But in stage 2, we also have challenge words, and there aren't any statutory words for stage 2, but these are the common exception words that are found on page 10 of that appendix document instead. We also have the online platform to support the spelling lesson. So some people are using the online games in class. You can do it on your interactive whiteboard as a class. You can do them on individual devices in class, and you can also set the children to do these tasks at home. We've got a range of games for practicing the spelling objectives, as well as some additional vocab games, our mastery zone, which we're going to talk about in a moment, and access to our SPAG quizzes as well.
So I've just got a little sneak peek to show you a sample from the Spelling Bee game.
This is one of our games, Spelling Bee. Children get to choose their own difficulty and then spell the words that are read aloud. They get more points the quicker they are for spelling the word. And if they do happen to get any incorrect, it just tells them the correct spelling so that they can then learn for next time instead. And they will continue on to the next word.
Okay, and then one more from our one of our bonus games, Squirrel Scurry.
This is an alternative game, Squirrel Scurry. You can choose between playing solo or against the computer and reach the top or endless. It just keeps going as long as you can. There's lots of difficulty settings, so I'm going to choose the medium here. And I get to spell the words that it reads aloud, and it does show me the word as well as I'm typing it, so that's quite helpful on the medium setting. And the more words I spell and the quicker, the higher I climb away from that rising lava. But if I make a mistake, my squirrel will fall down into the lava, and the poor little squirrel ends up with a very burnt tail. So at the end, it will say finish, and it will give you your score, your points, and your honey pots total too.
Okay, as you can imagine, the games prove very popular with the children. We've also got the new Mastery Zone. It's AI driven, and it ensures each pupil's learning is focused on the words and spelling patterns that they each individually need to master. So it's powered by our nano bees. It begins by guiding each pupil through a mini diagnostic to determine their individual strengths and areas for improvement. So each word you spell correctly, it will keep on appearing until you have fully mastered it. And each day that the children log on to play, they'll earn a Bumble stamp. And if they get a 5-day streak, they'll earn additional honeypots, which again can be used on the main Spelling Shed site. So again, this is another view for the children. It will show the words that have come up in their play, as it were, and then it will show if they've mastered it or if they're getting there.
We've also got our new Grammar Arcade that has just launched yesterday. So this is a new range of games to meet the grammar objectives. They're based on old style arcade games, and the different games are suitable for different grammar objectives. So it's really nice to get that range in there as well. We also, alongside the Grammar Arcade, have our grammar resources. That's available in SPAG section of Spelling Shed. You can download an overview for years 1 to 6 that shows you how it meets all the objectives. You've got presentations and quizzes. So the teaching presentations you can use in class to teach the objectives. The quizzes can be set for pupils as assignments and also generated as printable worksheets if you'd rather do them printed rather than digitally as well. And these all fit alongside those new Grammar Arcade games that we've got. We do recommend giving children assignments as the main way of giving pupils spelling. So this will actually help answer the question that's just come up in the chat, actually. You've got an option to limit the lists. So that means only the active assignments are seen until the required games are played. So if you need to lock children into a specific difficulty, a specific level, you can set them an assignment and put the limit lists on. So that's the only one they can get on until they've completed that assignment, be it the number of games or by achieving that Royal B. The assignment sets can be used to assign multiple scheme lists automatically. So if I want to set an assignment set for stage 5 for my year 5 pupils, that will set the whole year's worth of assignments in one go so that I don't have to go on every week and assign them. And pupils have the assignment rank, which are these codes down the side, which recognise their accuracy as well as the game difficulty there. So this all feeds into a lot of data that you get from your assignments. Here I've got my grid, my data grid that shows all my children, and across the top I've got all the objectives from their year group. This can be really good for gap analysis because I can see, for example, objective 12, I've got lots of children on red. So that's maybe showing that I maybe need to do that lesson in class again because children are really struggling with those specific challenge words. If I click that challenge words, it will take me to the word list so I can see exactly which words they are. I can see which children are struggling as well from looking at this overview and help to pinpoint some of that. So it's just a competency score from 0 to 100. The higher it is, that means the more times they've spelled it and the more accurately as well. Sometimes the scores are low because the children haven't done very many of them yet and just need a bit more practice with it. This data grid at the bottom that you can see is from an individual pupil's perspective. So this is what you see as the teacher about an individual pupil. You can see how many times they've spelled the word, and you can also see if there are any errors, exactly what they were. So you can start to notice if there are any misconceptions that you need to deal with as well.
Okay, so with the child's view, as Amelia said, we can limit options when you're setting the assignments, which can be really handy to prevent them from ignoring the assignment you've set. So you can see on this screen here, they haven't got the option of seeing all the other games and playing any other games. They've got just the assignment that's been set for them, and it will stay like this until they've completed the assignment, and then everything else will open up for them, all the other gameplays. Dependent on which subscription you have, you might just have the Spelling Shed, which you'll also get the Grammar Arcade with, or you could have Quiz Shed, Phonics Shed, Math Shed, etc. And you'll see on each one, you see the little red number that's telling them how many assignments they got before it will all open up for them. And here, assignments. As we mentioned earlier, that with the Hive games, these are played live with all the pupils spelling the same word at the same time. So every pupil will need their own device, but the teacher controls the Hive game from the Teacher Hub from their central computer or laptop. and it will give them a league table is shown in between the rounds. The additional data is reported to the Teacher Hub with a grid of correct and incorrect spellings to show any trends. You can also see if children are making mistakes, if it's a typo error, or actually whether they've got confused with the spelling of the word. It can be used as a whole class assessment, a bit like a spelling test, but much more fun.
So if you haven't got Spelling Shed yet, you can sign up to get a free 30-day trial at edshed.com. This will give you access to the games and the online side of it, as well as a few weeks of our scheme resources in each year group, so you can sample from each year group. To sign up, we have different subscriptions for parents, teachers and schools, which are all available on the screen, but for a school perspective, it is approximately £2 per year per pupil. However, you have also got discounts for combining with our other products, or for having more pupils as well. You can email support@edshed.com to find out more or ask any questions as well. And you can also email training@edshed.com or go to our training page if you want to look at some of the CPD opportunities that we offer as well alongside that scheme. I'll keep answering questions in the chat if anybody's got any questions. The session is being recorded, so we always put all of our webinars on the website afterwards. If you go to edshed.com/webinars or click the webinars at the top, they'll all be on there afterwards, and you'll have an email with the link to it as well afterwards when it's ready. Sometimes takes a couple of days to get online.